Hello everyone and welcome back to another Paletteful Packs video. My name is Monique Renee and today I have got the Young Artist box for March. Boop! In this box we have got a selection of Posca pens. These are acrylic water-based paint pens and they're so much fun to draw with, and the paint is super vibrant as you can see from these colors. So these are going to be so much fun to play with. We have also got two of these Pastel Pencils, also by Posca. These are something that you can kind of draw with, sketch something out. We have got two different surfaces to draw on this time. The first one is a textured black board by Crescent. We've got three of these. They are a black surface that can really make these colors of the markers pop. We've also got a white illustration board, also by Crescent. It's going to be pretty similar to the black, just in white. So here we have all of our supplies for the March box. We have our info card here, so be sure to read through all of this to get a little bit more information about these, but I will quickly go through them. Like I said, these are Posca pens or Posca markers, and they are paint markers. People use these in all sorts of really fun ways, and our info card encourages you to go to the Posca website because they have a little collection of different pictures that have been sent in from people in the art community using their markers for all different kinds of fun art projects. I've seen people use these on like wood furniture, glass, metal sheets. I've seen people do like graffiti art with them. They're really versatile. The paint is non-toxic and water-based, and it's opaque, which means that you can layer the colors over top of one another. These guys right here are brand new from Posca. In the past, Posca has only made these paint markers, but they're starting to branch out into other supplies as well. And so we've got these little pastel pencils. These guys you can draw with. They have really bright colors just like the Posca pens, but you can draw with them a bit easier, and they're blendable too. Both of these surfaces are nice and textured, so these paint markers are going to really sit beautifully on these textured canvases, and they're going to layer beautifully too. On the back side here, we have some instructions on how to actually activate these pens. You'll see that when you open the pen, at first this little nib is going to be blank and you won't be able to draw with it. What we have to do is actually activate the pen so that the ink will flow through the chamber into the nib. But don't worry, I will show you guys how to do that. Also on our info card here, we have the Posca website where you can see those examples of artworks, and there's also some tutorials as well. All right, so I am so excited to jump right on in. The first thing we have to do is learn how to activate these markers, then we're going to play around with them for a little bit, and then we will work on a final illustration together. All right, let's get going. Okay, so here I have a blank sheet of scrap paper. You want a piece of paper that you're not going to use for the final piece. So my illustration boards that I got in the box are over here. And this is just a dirty piece of paper that I'm not going to be using. So the first thing you're going to want to do is shake your marker. You'll hear it kind of sounds like a bottle of spray paint, and that is because we are activating the acrylic ink inside. So shake that for just a little while until you feel like it's about good, probably maybe 30 seconds or so. Once you've done that, you're going to want to take your pen and put it against the paper and press down. You don't have to press down too hard, but you'll start to notice that you can kind of push that pen nib inward. And then what you'll actually see is the ink start to flow into that nib. Once you've done that a little bit, shake it just a little bit more to make sure that that paint is flowing. Now look at that nib. It is completely black with the paint. And now we can draw with it. So take some time real quick to do that to all of our pens so that they're all activated and ready to use.
6 hours later.
All right, so I've got all my markers activated, and what I want you to do super quick is just to kind of familiarize yourself with these pens. So do some doodles on this piece of scrap paper that we've got, and just kind of get a feel for how the pens kind of feel in your hand, how the nibs feel against the paper. Maybe try some fun shapes. But basically just kind of try to get a feel for these. You may also notice that our blue and our orange markers are actually a little bit thicker than our other markers. Posca pens come in different sizes, so these ones are going to be a little bit more of a fine tip than these guys. Something else you'll notice is that you can draw on top of other colors. Because the paint in these pens are so opaque, you can really just cover up certain areas if you want to kind of layer them on top. You can blend the paint too, but we are not going to do any blending today. Instead, today we are going to focus on shapes. Something that is very important in art is being able to break things down into simple shapes. And because we have these awesome, really thick pens, it gives us a really good excuse to practice our shapes. If you can break something down into a simple shape that still conveys your message, that can be a really powerful way of creating art. However, it can also be a little trickier than it looks. For example, if I want to draw a leaf, someone might draw it like this, right? It's kind of like a really standard leaf shape, but this may not be the best way to convey that I'm trying to draw a leaf. Instead, what I might want to do is make my shape look a little more distinct. So maybe I will do a maple leaf that kind of looks something like that. See, that has a very much more distinct leaf look than this does. Or maybe I want to do some kind of vine. Now that doesn't really convey that it's supposed to be a plant or a vine, but if I add these little guys, it conveys much more that this is supposed to be a plant. So as a little exercise, I want you to grab something that's on your desk and break it down into simple shapes. For me, I have a pair of my headphones. So what I'm going to do is place those to the side, and I'm going to look at my headphones and try to distinguish the individual shapes. I may also kind of play around with the angle to kind of distinguish what is going to be the most interesting silhouette. So if I have my headphones positioned this way, you can't really tell that they're headphones. But if I flip them this way, this is a very easy to read headphone shape. So I'm going to put those to the side, and I am going to, we've got our little kind of oval shaped things over here. Then there's like this little shape over here where the headphones actually connect to our headpiece. And then these come out like that. And they get a little bit thicker in the middle where there's that little cushion area. And those are my headphones. So feel free to look around your desk and kind of see what might be an interesting shape that you can break down and recreate in one solid color. Here's another quick tip. If you find that your pen is kind of running out of paint a little bit, you can also push down again to get the ink flowing, and it'll flow much better. So keep that in mind when you're trying to cover a large space. If the ink stops flowing as easily, just press down. All right, now that we are a little bit more comfortable with our art supplies, we are going to start working on our first illustration. For the first one, we are going to use our black board because I really want you guys to see how amazing these colors pop against the black. What we are going to draw is we are going to draw 3 little plants in little flower pots, and we are going to write Plant Mom across the top. Or you can also write Plant Dad or Plant Parent. This is just something cute and fun. I love to draw plants, so I figured this would be a fun way to explore those shapes a little bit better, because if you look at plants, plants have some really interesting and distinct shapes that we can play with. So what we are going to do is sketch out our little plants. Now we are going to use our little pastel for this. Try to keep a light hand and also keep in mind that we are going to draw over this with our paint markers. So to start, we are just going to draw 3 individual little flower pots. And these are going to be very easy, simple shapes. We're going to start with a line there, have it come inward just a little bit, just like that. And we're going to have a little lip come out the side. And that is our flower pot. Now maybe for the next one, I want the flower pot to be a little taller. So I can do something like that. And maybe this one will be the same as that first one. Now I would like to write Plant Mom across the top. You don't have to add the words if you don't want to, but I think that would be cute. So I'm just going to lightly write it out. And I'm not doing any fancy calligraphy or anything like that. This is really kind of a practice and just a fun way for us to play with shapes. What I'm going to do is draw some of the plants that I have growing in my home. I love houseplants. If you need a little bit of help, you can always go to Google and type in houseplants to get some inspiration for the plants that you will draw. The first little plant I'm going to draw over here is going to be my Monstera plant. And my Monstera has really cool leaves that kind of go like this. And they have little holes. The Monstera leaf is pretty easy to identify because it's such an interesting shape. It is so easy for me to be inspired by nature because, I mean, nature is just so cool. You can even have some leaves kind of overlapping each other if you would like. Or even overlapping the flower pot. Have a little baby leaf coming up that way. Yay! So there I've got my little Monstera plant. Now the next little plant I'm going to draw is a cactus with a little cactus flower. Actually, I think I'm gonna draw my cactus over here. Another little one coming out that way. And I'm going to have the flower kind of making that shape. This one, as you can tell, is a lot simpler than something like this. So if you want to draw simpler plants with simpler shapes, go ahead and do that. I just love my Monstera so much, I always want an excuse to draw her. The last plant I'm going to draw is a snake plant, and this guy is super easy. He just has these really long, kind of snake-like leaves coming up all over the place. Now that we've got all of our plants drawn, here comes the fun part. So I want all of my leaves to be this kind of blue-green color. So we're going to use these colors for our pots. And what I'm going to do is simply outline my little pot. Making sure to cover up all of that yellow pastel. And then I'm going to fill it all in. Like I said before, feel free to kind of press down to get that ink flowing a little bit easier. Something else to keep in mind is that you may need 2 or 3 layers of the paint to really get it opaque and to cover the whole canvas. So if yours looks a little bit streaky, don't worry, we're going to go over this again to make it more of a solid color. Now look how beautiful that pink pops out against the black canvas. If your lines are a little bit wobbly like mine, don't worry, I think that kind of adds to the charm. Now I'm going to move on to the next pot for my snake plant. Going to outline it, and again do the same thing. I'm going to fill it all in. Something to keep in mind is that this paint will stay wet for a little while, so be careful if you're kind of moving your hand across the canvas. You could smear the paint. So just keep that in mind as you're working. And lastly, I'm going to use this orange for this pot. Now, if you do make a mistake, let's say I accidentally made a little squiggle over here with a color that I didn't want to be there and I want to cover it up, what you can do is wait for that color to dry completely. Then you can take your black marker and just kind of cover it up. Okay, now we are going to actually start coloring in our plants. And I'm just going to keep in mind the shapes that I want to use. Side note, I absolutely love this color. It is so pretty and so vibrant, especially against this black canvas. I am just obsessed. Now onto my snake plant. And last but not least, my cactus. Now, because I have this little cactus flower, I'm actually going to color that in first. Little cactus flower, little cactus flower, yay! Again, nothing too fancy as far as the shape of the flower goes, but you can still tell that it is indeed a flower. And then I'm going to fill the rest in with my blue. Now for the cactus, I'm also going to add these little prickly bits because that much better conveys that this is a cactus. Because cactuses have those little prickly things. Funny story, one time I actually sat on a cactus, like with my entire body weight. And then I had to pull the little prickles out of my butt for the next, like, 45 minutes. So I do not recommend sitting on a cactus. Now what I'm going to do is write in Plant Mom across the top. I'm going to use pink because I accidentally put pink on both sides. So I think if I put pink on this side, and across the top, it'll tie it all together really nicely. Now what I'm going to do next, it may be hard to see, but there are some areas where that yellow pencil is showing through. So to cover that up, I'm just going to go over those areas with my black. There's just a few areas that I didn't like how the shape was looking, so I kind of changed my mind last minute. So I'm just going to cover those up. This can also be used like if you wanted to add another hole somewhere. I could add another little hole over there, or one over here. Now what I'm going to do is, because some of these areas ended up looking a little bit streaky, I'm actually going to go over the whole thing again with the Posca pens to really get this one solid opaque color. Okay, we're almost done, but there is one last very important step that I want to do. And that is I want to draw cute little faces on all of my little flower pots. So I'm just going in, I'm not even really sketching because I'm just doing really simple, cute little faces. Just like that. Oh, this is so cute. I'm so happy with how this turned out. All right, well that is going to be the end of our little tutorial, our little video. I hope you guys enjoyed drawing along with me. I hope you guys drew some really fun plants and cute flower pots, or if you didn't, I would love to see what you do make. So be sure to post your work onto social media and tag us in your posts, and also use our hashtags, #PaletteFulPacks and #PaletteFulPrompts. If you haven't already joined the Paletteful Packs family, be sure to check out our website in the description below. I can't wait to see what you guys make. We've also got our 2 other canvases and our white canvas too, so have fun, practice with your Poscas, and create some beautiful art. Anyway, I will see all of you next month for another Paletteful Packs box. Bye guys!